Hi friends, welcome to my channel. This is Loli. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Leave me a comment, a thumbs up. And if you're a subscriber, I love you all dearly. For today's DIY, we'll be using these products from Chalkola. This was sent to me. They asked me to review them and I'm happy to do so. So first of all, the packaging is beautiful. I really enjoy using this, to be quite honest. It comes with your brushes, with a little sponge, with a little tray to separate your paints, and 32 acrylic paints. I was so excited to use these. This set came with a little detail brush that I really like for doing little fine lines. And this sponge, I'm not sure what I'm using for yet, but I liked it. And then this scraper, I guess this is more for a painter, but I'll figure out later how to use it. And the variety of colors here are pretty awesome. Look at that orange. It is beautiful. And it has like 3 different shades of yellow and 3 different shades of green and red. It has gold. It has many shades of blue and tan. I really like the variety in this product here. And they also sent me some of these panels. They are canvas panels, and it comes in 4, I believe 4. There's a 20 piece and you get 5 of each. So yes, 4 different sizes that you can use. There you'll see I have a 9 by 12. That's 5 panels of those. And I like them because they are natural cotton, and they have 8 by 10. They got also this 5 by 7, and the biggest one was 11 by 14. And for this project, I used one 11 by 14 and one, I think 8 by 12, 9 by 12, or 8 by, I can't remember the sizes, but it's the 2 bigger ones. So yes, I did use the 9 by 12. I took 2 out of this packet, and I'm going to stencil those. So I used these stencils. I got these last year for fall. I can't remember where I got them on Amazon. Yes, Amazon, that's where I got them. And they had such a great variety. If you see there, it was for a big welcome sign that I made. At that time, I was not on YouTube yet, so I do not have a video for that, but I can show you a picture later on. So I took 2 of those panels, and what I'm going to do is unwrap them apparently. So after I unwrapped them both, what I did is I took the 11 by 14 panel, and I wanted to make that the background for these projects. I wanted to pick a color that will work for both fall and for Christmas. And boy, did I have a few options here. I had these 3 options, and at this point I wasn't sure which one I was going to use, and apparently this was the winner. So that was the Pantaleon green, and I took that color and I took my 9 by 12 canvas panel there, and I traced it out where it will be onto my 11 by 14, because I did not want to use more paint if I didn't need to. I just wanted to paint the section that will be actually showing on this project. So I took my green paint and went ahead, and I wanted it to glide easy, so I just made sure that my paintbrush was damp, and I am now tracing everything down in the lines that I made on there. I wanted to make sure that it was covering properly, and since it was a little bit corrugated there, the canvas material, I wanted to make sure that it didn't have so many areas that still stayed white. So I did complete painting the entire area there. And the reason I added the water, because I was planning to do a mixture of different colors. So now I'm using that rose sienna color from the same palette that we just got. And I'm adding in the brown in there just to give it a little bit more texture and a little more of a darker tone and a different color undertone. This was so much fun to do. I just kept going that way. I kept adding some more of the brown. I like this color very much, but it was pretty bright, and I wanted something more to resemble, you know, the green color that you see on your evergreens during Christmas, and that green that you still see on your grass during the fall time. So I wanted to make sure that it had a little bit of a brown undertone to play better with the colors that I'm planning to use for the 9x12 that's going to be attached to this piece. Make sure that you cover all the little sides as well, because I kind of almost make that mistake until I'm like, look, let me cover up that side, because otherwise you're going to get all that in white. So here I decided that I needed to go a little bit deeper, because I need to leave some space in the top for something else I got planned for this piece. So I went over the green once again, and just came in a little bit closer into the middle, and now I put it to the side to dry. While that is drying, I am taking my 9x12 panel, and I'm going to take some of this tissue paper that I got from the Dollar Tree and cut it in a way that it will be big enough to cover the entire panel. Now I'm taking my Mod Podge, and I'm using my brush, and I'm applying the Mod Podge in small sections. So I just started with the end there, and I'm using a little tapping motion, because this tissue is pretty easy for it to break if you go too much with the rubbing part. So just try to tap and not rub. So I just did that, working in small sections. I just kept tapping as I was putting the paper down, and tried to avoid wrinkles as best as I could. You see me there, I tried to use small sections and make sure that every single area where you're putting the paper down is saturated with the Mod Podge in order to avoid having any kind of bubbles. So I did that. I make sure that all the corners were done, and after everything was dry, I came in with my sanding block, and I just sanded away the edges. And this is what I ended up with. And now we will be stenciling. I found this stencil. It says Hello Fall. This is from that set that I showed you in the beginning there. And what I'm going to do is tape it down so it does not move as I am bouncing up and down doing my stenciling. The first color that I'll use for a stencil is this light red ochre. This is another of those paints from this set that I'm working on. Everything that I'm using, every paint that I use for this DIY is coming from that Chalkola 32-piece acrylic paint set. So I used this color for the fall part of the stencil. I just used one of my little stenciling brush sponges, and I just covered it with 2 coats. I'm using this yellow also from the same thing, and if you notice there, I did not change sponges. I wanted this to have the effect of fall leaves, that it comes in different shades. You will see some yellow and some orange and a little bit of red when the leaves are falling, and I wanted that effect to be on my leaves, so I did that. Now for the next color, which is for the hello part, I did rinse my sponge, and I am going in with that yellow as well. This is the lighter yellow. I wanted to do 2 coats, so I just did the first one, and while that dried, I am using this other dark brown to reddish color. I can't remember the name of it right now, and I used it also on the same area. So I'm just trying to layer colors as I'm going to get that whole effect of different colors within the leaves. So here I am going in with a different yellow. This is a deeper yellow for the second coat. I didn't really quite like so much the lighter yellow, and I wanted it to also have, you know, kind of different tones of yellow. So I didn't do a full stencil. I just kind of went over it scantily in different spots. So this one, the yellow has kind of different tones here and there, and this is what I came up with. Now we are going to put that aside to dry, and actually I guess it already dried. This is I dried and then I came back to it, guys. So now I am going to attach this piece onto my 11x14 canvas in the bottom. So in order to do this, I took some of those velcro tags from the Dollar Tree, and I make sure to fold them in half so they will match each other and be interlocking. So they make sure that we're doing it the best way, and making sure that everything was dry. I am going to flip my sign down and attach the sticky side of the little tags on there. Just be sure that you're using the same side when you're putting it down. So I'd make sure that my fuzzy sign was glued onto the canvas there, so it will be the same way for the next one. So once that was done, just make sure, guys, when you do that as well, that you put a little bit of E6000 and some hot glue on the tags there, because I had a little accident there in which one pulled up, and that wouldn't have happened if I would have used a stronger and more permanent glue. So just make sure to use the E6000 and your hot glue. So now here I'm using some more tissue paper from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to do the same technique, a little bit of Mod Podge, and we are putting it down, tapping carefully and lifting so it doesn't fall in the wrong area. So I just kept doing the same thing, just making sure that the Mod Podge also was at the edge there, and just try to work as slowly as I could. This is like very sped up, guys. I was going so slow in real life doing this part. So just take your time. Nobody is rushing you, and crafting is to be enjoyed. So take your time, enjoy every moment, and just keep on doing your beautiful work. And remember, there's nothing in this world needs to be hustling you when you're doing this. So this is a time for you to relax, enjoy, and go in your own pace. Okay, so here you see me finishing up. Make sure that little corners are also all tacked down, and here I'm just pressing down, making sure there's no bubbles. And we are going to do the same thing. We will be sanding the edges down using the sanding block. This is just an easier and cleaner way of getting rid of the edges. So once that was done, we are going to be stenciling as well. For this one, I used the Merry Christmas stencil. This came with the same stencil team, or the same stencil set that I showed you in the beginning. And if I find it on my Amazon history, I will put the link for it in the Amazon in the description box of this video. So I did this using the entire red on there. So now I'm going to be using, this is gold. It looks yellow on there, but it's actually a gold color. This stencil there has little areas look like icicles. So I made some of them gold and some of them silver. So those are little details that the stencil has that I don't know if you were able to see when I showed you the stencil. So here I go in trying to do the silver now. I didn't change the sponge, I just went with it, and just adding the silver to every other little icicle or ice, or what do you call it again? Icicle? Not an icicle. I can't remember, guys. But you guys know what I mean, like ice, like a little ice flurry. So I just went over those little sections, and I liked it because it had a little bit of gold and silver mixed in there, so just give it a little more beautiful tones. So here I am doing a second coat of the red just to make sure that popped, because the underneath paper that I used for this had the little green trees all over it. There was some spots that you couldn't really see the letters very well, so I want to make sure that where the letters were, that the letters were completely covered and you cannot see the trees go by. So here you see me putting up the stencil, and guys, I had a lot of bleed with this one, but hey, we're gonna make every mistake a beautiful mistake. So what I did is I took this color, it's like a dark brown color from the same set, and I used in one of my little detail brushes. And here, guys, I got a new table, and it's kind of taller than the one that I was using before, so now I gotta use 2 pillows in order to prop myself up. But anyway, it is a lot more spacious and I feel a lot more comfortable. So in order to fix this, we will be taking some of that brown paint in a small detail brush, and what I'm doing is outlining the outside of each one of these letters, the entire Merry Christmas thing on here. This, guys, was time consuming, but it was also relaxing. I was just listening to music that I was doing. It was like as therapeutic as those other little books, numbered color books. So it was pretty fun. So once I was done with that, I took the same gold color that I did the icicles with, or the I can't remember what you call them, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about there. And I took the gold color and I just make sure that my edges would cover with that little color there. And I also brought it up a little bit, like kind of like distressing onto the front of the Merry Christmas sign there. And I love how that gold color just gave it a little bit more depth, and it just made it tie in with the gold that was on the ice flurries, snow flurries, something like that. Anyway, I took some of that white color, titanium white, and I did a little bit of a snowy feel to the piece there, but you can't really see it on the camera. It was very light, just like a little dusting. And once everything was dry, I am doing the same thing with this canvas and attaching the velcro tabs in each of the four corners, making sure that the furry part of the velcro is attached to the canvas itself. So I just want to make sure that this is a very important step in order for everything to match up when you're ready to attach your fronts to your piece here. Once I was happy with it, I took all the paper off, and I took the paper off, but I didn't put it down yet because I wanted to make sure that both pieces were ready at the same time. So I just put it aside for now, and I am adding some edging to this one as well. I use this color is called burnt amber, and it's kind of cute. It's like a dark red, so it's a bit more reddish than the dark amber from I think it's what do you call it? Apple Barrel, I think, has one, but this one I just find it to be a little bit more of a reddish color. So once I was happy with it, I added hot glue and put it down on there. I made it leaving more space on the top and making sure everything is centered. Make sure that you use some E6000 in that step as well, guys. Here I am creating a swatch. I'm going to be making a floral area to go, a little flower arrangement to go in the top of this, and I use these two boxwood, red boxwood from the Dollar Tree, along with those white sunflowers as well from the Dollar Tree. And I thought I was going to use two of those red things, but then I'm like, you know what, it was too much. I ended up just using one. So I used one of the boxwood, what do you call them? Picks from the Dollar Tree. And I added two of these white sunflowers as well. And just twist them, bend them a little bit at the end so they will look forward as I make this swatch here. Okay. Once that was done, I took some of my, what do you call it? My jute twine. And once I took my jute twine, I wanted to make sure that everything was tied securely and in place. So what I did is I held everything together, making sure that everything was, looking in the direction in which I wanted them to be looking at. And I tied my jute cord at one end, making sure that everything on there was nice and neat in the position that I wanted them. I wanted to make sure I had enough space in between as long, and make sure that all the boxwood was looking nice and full. And now I'm going to be wrapping the jute all the way across where the stems here meet. I was, twisting the flower arrangement instead of the thing, and then I got here smarter and I just started spinning it around. This way it's a lot quicker and a lot easier. And you know, you have less of a risk of having your flowers come out of the way that you had arranged it, because you know it's less tossing and turning. So once I was happy with how it was covered, I took a little bit of the hot glue and tacked my jute cord down. Here I took some more time to rearrange everything, making sure that if anything came out of place, I am fixing it all over again and making sure that I have a nice distance in between the two sunflowers there, because we will be adding a bow. So I used this ribbon from, I believe I got this from Michael's. Yes, I got it from Michael's when they were having their clearance for Christmas, I believe, last year. So I wanted to make a bow. So what I did is I keep crisscrossing it. I did 2 crisscross. This is my most common bow. I do this one more than most of them. And just do, you know, 2 loops on each side. But this one was a little bit too big, so I went over again, making my loops smaller. And if you see me there, just keep crisscrossing them and looping them as I'm going. And then when I'm done, I just cinched my middle and just making sure that that is the size that I wanted it. You know, I just took the flower out there real quick so I can really put it down and see how it looked like. And I was pretty happy with it, so I went over and I cut that off the set there. And I am going to be tying this up with some more jute cord. As soon as I tied it, I went over and I cut the piece there. Then I realized I was not supposed to cut it that short because I need to tie this onto the flower arrangement there. So I had to take another piece of jute cord, tie it along once again, and leave them long this time. So once I was happy with it, I cut the other end, making sure that they were both the same size. And here it seemed like I moved things around again. I needed to have enough space to be able to put my bowl there and for the sunflowers to not look like they were just squished in there. So I just try to pull some of my sprigs out a little bit in order to have a little bit more space. And I tied on the bow to the back of this and fluffed everything up, tucked the bow down, and make sure that my sunflowers were looking nice there. So now we are going to get ready to attach this to the canvas as well. So I did the same thing using the velcro. I made sure that the two sides matched each other, and now I am going to be attaching this to the swatch that I made over here. So I added some more hot glue. Again, guys, use a little bit of E6000 here and hot glue as well. And I made sure that it was not to bleed onto anything. I pressed it down until it was dry. And now we're going to do another detail. I took one of these little pumpkins from the Dollartree and I cut them not in half but a little bit behind the stem so I can keep the stem, but I wanted it to be flat so I can put it right in the middle of my bowl there. So I first used a little spatula scraper first just to help me, you know, go straight. It was kind of tough. These are made out of foam, but they were pretty good, pretty tough. I use hot glue, guys, completely forgetting the fact that hot glue will completely melt your foam. So be a little bit smarter than me and try to use a different kind of adhesive there. But eventually I got it to stick. It wasn't clicking. I just kept using hot glue and I'm like, Lorraine DeGeorge, it is not working. What are you doing? So anyway, eventually it stuck. Once it dried, I just make sure to leave the pumpkin down, because if I kept having the pumpkin looking downwards, instead it was making the hole bigger as the heat came by. So I added some more hot glue on the side there and just let it sit there and lay flat until it dried, and then I checked it again and it finally secured itself. So eventually it worked out, and this is what my fall one ended up like. I so love this version. Anyway, we are going to need to hang this. So I use these beads from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just trying to gauge where I wanted it and how many beads I will need. So once I was happy with that, I cut off the excess, put it to the side, and we are going to put 2 nuts on each side of this jute cord that's attached to the beads here. So just make sure your nuts are nice and, you know, they are thicker. They're not very small. I did 2 different, I looped it twice and then tucked it in. And this is going to be helping with attaching this to the back of the canvas here. I wish I would have done this before I attached the switch or the swatch or whatever you call it, but I didn't. So what I'm going to do in order to make sure that this stays put, I will be putting some hot glue right on the cord, letting it sit there, and then I'm coming right behind it with some masking tape, and I am going to be placing it down. And again, not using my spatula, but here I am trying to use it now, and making sure that that tape stays nice and tight around the jute cord so it is secure and it doesn't go anywhere. So here I wanted to make sure that the beads were exactly on top of at the top of my canvas there. I didn't want it to be behind the canvas, so I arranged the beads so it will stay right there. It will not go behind in order for my piece to eventually stay put. And then I added some more of the hot glue to the very top and added some more of that masking tape as well, so everything will be, you know, in the same position. It will not be going, the beads will not be going any lower. So same thing here, I put some masking tape, added some hot glue there, and added on the masking tape. And again, I burn myself. I keep, you know, trying to think that my fingers are made of silicone or something, but you know, I just kept doing the same thing. We are going to be adding the glue, some more masking tape. I just find that this, I learned this from Kathy Jo from Kathy Jo DIYs, and she showed me this. It actually worked out pretty nicely. So this is what I've been doing each time I use jute cord now in the back of any of my sets. So here I am taking off this version of it, and here, guys, is the time when I'm telling you to please use other adhesives besides just hot glue, because in this part I had one of the pieces come off completely, and that's how strong the velcro is. I had a hard time taking it off, so use some E6000. I fixed it, and while that was drying with I used some different glue. I used, I think it was the gel super glue. So while that was being done, while that was drying up, I took these 2 picks here. I got these, I want to say, guys, that I got this from, I think, Walmart was on clearance. I'm not sure if it was Walmart or Dollar Tree, to be quite honest. I want to say Dollar Tree, but I don't know, the color of the tags there kind of threw me off. But anyway, it's one or the other. So I took both of these and made them face opposite, and now I just want to create the same kind of swatch look as I did before, and we're gonna do the same exact technique we did before. Just make sure that everything is in the position you like it. Make sure that your poinsettias are looking the way you want them to look, and then wrap again your cord all the way down your stem there. You're just making sure that this covers up the stem so that everything stays in position, and also creating a nice surface for you to stick your velcro to later on the process here. So once you're happy with it and everything is covered, you put a tiny little dab of hot glue when you're not there, so everything stays in place. So here I am rearranging everything, making sure that that is going to fall nice and flat on there, and I want to make sure that everything matches. So I put the little sticker thingies on top of the other velcro, and I'm going to add some hot glue to that. And here, guys, again, use some E6000 and some hot glue, and I am placing this down once letting it dry. Once that is getting all set up, I took some of this ribbon. I got this from Dollar Tree, And I am doing the same kind of bow that I did before, just doing loops in different directions, doing 2 loops on each direction in a cross motion. And here I'm making sure that the bow is the size that I would like it to be. Once I am happy with that, I took my scissors and cut off the excess. And I'm going to use some of the jute cord. I had some left over, so I just grabbed that leftover jute cord from my desk there, and I'm just tying it onto the middle here once I have cinched it and held it together. Once again, I made the pieces too short, so I am cutting the excess off, and here I glued this stem on before I tied the bow onto my swatch. So I'm going to just have to unstick this off of the velcro and put my tie it onto my swatch this way as well. I'd rather have done it the other way, just so that I have that tiny little knot there in the top. But hey, it worked out. So I'm here fluffing my bow a little bit, but I am not very happy with how this is looking. So I didn't want this to cover things up, so I am dovetailing the ends on here a little bit shorter, so you are able to see the piece that will go in the front here. To cover up the jute cord, I took another little piece of that ribbon, and I want to just make a little swatch to go right on top of the jute cord that's tying this together. So I just make sure that it was big enough. I took some of my hot glue just to create a nice and neat strip. I just folded the ends, into each other to have a nice clean area, and hurting myself along the way, but still not getting the little pink thingies from my fingers. So anyway, I put a little bit of glue in the back end of the bow and tacked it down. I did the same thing with this one. I was trying to cover the jute and also cover the velcro that you see on there, but the velcro wasn't covered with that, so we are going to go with a different approach with that. So in order to do this better, I wanted to put the sign up on there to see what I was working with, to see if that will help at all, but nope, it doesn't cover the velcro. So I am going with plan B on here. So I wanted something that was thick enough to cover that in the top and the bottom of where the bow is. I didn't like that white showing up like that, so I took some of this green stems from Dollartree, and I folded it in half, and I cut where I folded it, and I'm going to put one piece of it in the top where the velcro is, and one piece in the bottom to cover up that white section there. So what I did is I took some of my hot glue, I bent it in a way that it will cover, and it would just look like it was part of the swatch. If you see there, it does have some of the same material, so I added a little bit of hot glue on top of where the velcro is. If you notice, I picked it up. I didn't want it to fall onto the piece, and then you end up hot gluing the swatch onto the base there. So this is a very important step to avoid having that issue. So once I did that fixed it, and you cannot see the velcro no more. I took one of these little scatter packages from Dollar Tree and took 3 of the little pine cones that have like a silver glitter to it, and I held them together like a little group of 3, like a little triangle and added hot glue right in the middle and held it there until it was almost dry, and then placed it down into the middle of my bow. I just didn't like the space that was there with just the ribbon, so this gave it a little bit more embellishment and made it fold together. So here you see the fall version. This is how it ended up looking. I truly love this piece. It actually took it to a fall festival that I had this weekend, a craft show, and it sold. So here it is with the version in fall, and here it is the version in Christmas. So actually a gentleman bought it, and he really enjoyed how it was neat that he can have the same piece to use in fall and Christmas. And again, guys, thank you so much for spending time with me. If you have not subscribed yet, please do it now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. Remember to be blessed, be a blessing, and craft responsibly. Love you all. Bye.